Hey everybody. In this video, I want to take a few minutes and talk about Alien Swarm Reactive Drop, which is a new free-to-play game that's been released on Steam over the past few days. For those of you who are familiar with Alien Swarm from its previous incarnation on Steam, a lot of what you're seeing here in this video is going to seem very familiar, as this is basically the first mission from the first campaign that was included in the original release of Alien Swarm. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with this game, what it basically is conceptually is a cooperative top-down action RPG-ish shooter that has some very strong, very kind of obvious homages and points of reference to, say, something like the 1986 film Aliens, where basically you play as a squad of, for lack of a better term, space marines that have been sent into various situations to investigate the presence of and cull the spread of an alien infestation in various circumstances. And one of the kind of cool things, or one of the kind of nifty things about this game, is that it has a fairly dense palette of mechanics that it works with beyond just your basic run and gun shoot 'em up type stuff. There's a lot of equipment, there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of little mini games and puzzle-like elements and distinct roles that various characters can play as they make their way through the scenarios that the game presents. I, for example, am playing in this initial scenario as a tech marine, which basically means I'm primarily responsible for hacking doors and fiddling with gizmos and otherwise interacting with environmental things to basically assist the squad in clearing out this area and investigating what's been going on in this initial scenario. Again, for those of you who are already familiar with Alien Swarm, a lot of this stuff is going to seem very familiar, and to a large extent, Reactive Drop is just a newer, better, more expanded version of Alien Swarm. It includes a lot of new features like an 8-player competitive mode, the inclusion of some pretty robust, fairly sophisticated bots to play with in single player on the official maps, and most importantly, the inclusion of Steam Workshop support, which is going to allow for the creation of all sorts of user-created content that can otherwise expand or enhance the game. And I think that's really where this particular release is noteworthy and really stands out, as this game was already pretty popular and pretty well known as a free-to-play offering on Steam. It's just one of those cool things that's been available on Steam now for quite some time as a free-to-play experience. There's really no monetary aspect or commitment to playing this game. It's really just a fun, free game that you can play just by virtue of being a user on the Steam platform. And this newer, more enhanced, more robust version of it just takes it and makes it that much better than it already was. If I were to have one sort of criticism or one sort of complaint or one sort of hope or wish for this game, just out of my own personal preference, I would love to see it gain a little bit better controller support. Right now, you can actually map just about every function of the game to, say, something like an Xbox One controller, except for aiming of your primary weapon. That seems to be the one thing that I haven't been able to figure out a way to map to the controller, and that's basically forced me to continue playing the game with mouse and keyboard. It would be really nice if it were possible to, say, map the right stick on a dual stick controller to act as an aiming mechanic. If that were the case, I'd say this game is just about feature complete in my book. While it is a bit of a bummer for me to have to play the game with mouse and keyboard, I will say that it does do a good job of helping you always see where your shots are going to go. The pointer is very visible. There's often a laser sight that comes out of your weapon to help you keep a good solid track on where you're aiming, even when you're in a fairly hectic scenario. So for a top-down game of this type that uses mouse and keyboard controls, I think this is definitely one of the better ones, if not the best that I've played in that regard. So the absence of a controller aiming mechanic isn't necessarily the end of the world here, but it is something worth pointing out. having said all that, I think this is a really cool, fun, entertaining game, and certainly something worth checking out, even if you've checked out the previous version of this game, as there have been a lot of really nice enhancements made to Reactive Drop. And I think that's just about going to do it for me for this video. Hopefully you folks have enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to hit that like button. If you'd like to see more videos from me in the future, be sure to hit subscribe. And I will see you next time.
Syntech Megacorporation. Access denied. I got the man. Covering fire. Reload, cover me. I got skills. Syntech Megacorporation.
Yeah, these manifests are useless. Guess record keeping wasn't exactly high on the priority list when the swarm hit. We are now search and rescue until otherwise informed, so keep an eye out for survivors. Head for the far exit and then we'll regroup.
I don't like it down here.
We better get to the colony to see what we can find.